Very good. Thank you.
Okay, it is 10:02 and we're calling the meeting to order. And I guess the first thing in order is we have some introductions to make.
Yes, good morning, board members. We have 3 new staff, well, not new to accountancy, DCP staff that we'd like to introduce to the board today. First is Ryan Burns. He is the new supervisor in our group. And Ryan, do you want to
Yes,
start?
good morning. Thank you, Kat. Yes, good morning, everybody. Very happy to be here. I have been with DCP since January, and I was with the State Elections Enforcement Commission prior to that in their legal enforcement division. I'm very excited to work with you all, and I'm available should anyone have any questions. But obviously, Kat will still be your primary point of contact as our DCP attorney assigned to this board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
The next person we have is Christina Corbett. Julianne talked about her last time you met. She's the new investigator assigned to accountancy. Morning, Christina.
Good morning, Kat. Thank you for that. Good morning, board members. As Kat said, I'm the new investigator assigned to the Board of Accountancy. I've actually been with Department of Consumer Protection since 2015 in their Charities Investigation and Enforcement Division. Over there, I investigate allegations of fraud or misuse of charitable funds, various other allegations against different nonprofits and charities. I also help out in billing analysis for any of the other investigators that may need help with that aspect. I actually started with the state back in 2010 at the Department of Labor. And over there, I audited unemployment benefit accounts to determine if there were any overpayments. Also help prepare reports and, excuse me, hearing packets that may go to the hearing officers if anybody requested a hearing in regards to any of the discoveries that I made. After Department of Labor, I actually went over to State and Elections Enforcement Commission as well. And while I did work with Ryan over there for a brief period of time, he was there for several months before I went over to DCP. So I worked with him over there as well. And over at the Elections Enforcement Commission, what we really did was we analyzed the grant application packets that the different state candidates would submit for grants through the Citizens Election Program. And during that process, we would review different financial information, bank statements, just to ensure compliance. We'd write reports for recommendations that would go to the elections officers that would communicate with the candidates, any issues or delinquencies that we found in those packets. We would also perform secondary reviews on those. And then after the election was complete, we would do audits on, at the time, and I think it has since changed, 50% of the political campaigns that were run throughout the state, whether they applied for the Citizens Election Program or not. So we would perform audits on those campaigns. And then, as I said, in 2015, I went over to Department of Consumer Protection, and I've been there since. So it'd be really nice to work with all of you and looking forward to it.
Actually, Christina and I started working together since 2018 when I joined DCP and in charity enforcement. And we work very well together, and I'm so glad she agreed to join accountancy. It's so good to have another person helping me out, all this time with just me doing investigating. And Christina is the expert, and she's so good at investigation. So I'm just so happy that we have her in accountancy now. And then we have Shamika Gross, who's our new paralegal, and she can introduce herself. But just going forward, I believe that she will be doing most of the extension requests presentation to the board. So Shamika.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Kat. I've been with this, I'm very brand new to the state. Tomorrow will be 2 months since I've been here. I'm a paralegal, as Kat said, and prior to working with the state, I was working in private practice. I did real estate and personal injury. So accountancy is brand new to me. So please be patient with me, and I'm very interested in learning all that I can to be an asset to this group.
You'll find that a lot of accountancy coming down the pike is brand new to everybody.
So Shamika has been so good. She's so quick. And in fact, she did the first draft of a settlement agreement that I will be presenting to the board later today. But thank you, Shamika.
You're welcome, Kat.
Thank you, Chairman. That's all the new staff we have for introductions
John?
today.
John, if I may,
Yes,
we also have Verinda. I don't know if Verinda Birdsong, she is our board coordinator. Verinda, you're on. There she is.
yes.
Hi, Verinda, maybe you could speak to the board just quickly and
Yeah, we actually got introduced to Verinda last time, but
That's right.
I think picking up again, it would be perfectly appropriate.
I was just going to say that I think we did. Verinda, would you mind just
Certainly. Can everyone hear me? I'm using a different headset.
Yeah. I can
Okay,
hear
good
you.
morning. Good morning
Good
to
morning.
everyone. So I'm Ms. Birdsong, and I've been with the state over 10 years. I've worked at the state judiciary, working my way through college. I'm a United States Army Reserves veteran. I've done quite a bit of work for the state with another state agency as an auditor as well as an adjudicator. So I've been here about a month, and I feel like I've been here quite longer. So I'm interested in centralizing quite a few processes that my colleagues have been doing a stellar job in doing. I will be governing or administrating, facilitating all 13 boards. So I have a great learning curve in terms of my layman's knowledge of consumer protection, but I'm excited to be aboard and to do some of the centralization work through the commissioner's office and bring my skill sets to the team in terms of coordinating the board and doing hearings. So I have a master's in public administration. I'm in graduate school as we speak, looking to resume again in the fall, taking the summer off so that I can spend more time onboarding here. Pretty busy. I'm pretty busy and excited to work with such a great team of professionals and to get to know all of you. So I will be toggling 13 boards, and so it'll be a great walk in the park. So glad to be here and glad to work with each and every one of you. Call upon me at any time. Thank you.
Well, I'm a Navy guy, but I'm sure we'll
Thank
make
you.
it work.
Yes, yes. I've been running into you Navy guys. Even yesterday, I met someone from the Navy, but if you can recall, 4th of July, it's the Army. Oh, the Navy was involved too, including the
Oh, the
French,
Navy
but-
wasn't set up yet, but
Okay, all right. All
Yeah.
right. So just remember, we
Maybe
were
what?
first. But anyway, we will be great friends. And of course, always as veterans, colleagues. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. If we can go on to the minutes of the previous meetings, we have two sets, April 18th and May 10th. I think maybe we should take them separately. Does anybody have any comments on April 18th? Comments, corrections, additions, deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion? Do we have a second?
This is Pete. I'll second it.
Very good. I will be abstaining because I didn't attend that one. And all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? So approved, and we have the May 10th board minutes.
This is Marcia. I'll make a motion to approve.
Good. Any second?
This is Tim, I'll second.
Made wonderful 4th of July reading. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for the excellent job of taking the minutes as usual.
John, if I may,
Excuse me?
I have just if I make a quick comment.
You may.
The last special meeting we had, the June 10th, the minutes are not complete. I'm working on those, so that's why they're not-
Understood.
just so the board knows for the record.
Very good. Okay, moving on. Just quick comments and concerns of any person present today, and if I could just restrict them to because we have another opportunity later to those things that we should know before we proceed on the items on the agenda. Okay, go ahead.
This is Bonnie. I would like to make a comment, but I prefer to do it when you get to the extensions regarding one of the requests. And then at the end, I have nothing to add that will add to the agenda other than when you get to one extension. My other comments are new matters.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, old business, legislative update. Do you have anything, Kat?
No, I did not put this item on the agenda, so I don't know.
Oh,
have
neither did
nothing
I.
to report.
I think it's just a standby. And I don't think we have anything going on right now, so
Correct.
if you don't have anything, we'll move on. Reinstatement fees?
Okay, that I did put on the agenda. As you recall, in March, the board voted to set new reinstatement late fees, which needed to be adopted in regulations. So I put this item on today's agenda because I thought the regulations revisions will be completed by this time. However, unfortunately, the revisions are not yet completed. So we're very close. So I will have it ready for your review before the next meeting in September. I'm sorry.
Okay, not a problem. Very good. New business. First item of business, we have a guest, and I'll do a little explanatory here. I asked if Dan Dustin could attend and give us a brief update on where it is coming and the critical issues for CPA evolution. This came up for two reasons. One, at one of the prior updates with NASPA, it was very clear that a lot is going to be soon coming down the road, and we have very significant changes coming up with CPA evolution, which will require amendments and adjustments to the State Accountancy Act, regulations, considerations of various things. And as everybody knows, we have a fairly tight window as to when items can be submitted up for presentation and have to be reviewed, et cetera, before there for any state of position. So that's coming down the pike, and Kat had tagged an update from NASPA on extension policies for the exam completion for candidates, which are very significant and rightfully so. So I thought it was time for us to start thinking about this, because if we are going to have, for example, any need for any, for example, hearings and updates before we consider these things. And when I say hearings, I'm not saying recreate the excellent job that the various bodies are doing involved in this, but if there's anything that comes up that is consistent, that is either unique to Connecticut or is a concern in Connecticut, we should address it before we have to get that in. So having yabbered a little bit too much, Dan, are you there?
I am, Jack. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for inviting me to participate. I guess a couple different things. One, certainly the Uniform Accountancy Act model rules were amended in 2020. They really fell into maybe three main areas that boards of accountancy have been looking at right now. One is accreditation, and certainly some changes. And the emphasis was really on making sure that boards of accountancy staff were reviewing transcripts, no matter the type of accreditation involved with the student, whether it was AACSB, ABCSP, or a litany of other accrediting bodies. Some of the analysis we looked at found that boards had really outdated language with respect to accrediting bodies if they were actually naming accrediting bodies in the rules. And in a couple of instances, those bodies hadn't existed for more than 10 years and had been superseded by newer accrediting bodies. So certainly they're revisiting that. The second one is really a change that was requiring specific accounting coursework. And I haven't looked at your rules to see if you define an accounting concentration. Most boards do not. A lot will talk about the type of accounting content they need. Really the onus of the rule change was to say you need, at least one course in financial accounting, one in audit, one in tax, one in accounting information systems. And really that was kind of the fallback, because we're starting to really see a lot of colleges, universities, especially the larger ones, starting to offer things like data analytics as an accounting coursework. And that's kind of that trend toward greater technology in accounting. The third piece really was to increase the internship hours from 6 hours in the Uniform Accountancy Act model rules to 9 hours, 3 in accounting, 3 in business, 3 in general that could be applied to the 150 hours. I will tell you, right now there's a lot of discussion about internships. We've seen a couple of the large firms create internship programs that is assisting individuals that they've hired to obtain the 150 hours through graduate programs. Last fall, we had a speaker at our annual meeting from Ernst & Young talking about the internship program they've established with Holt University. Holt University is an ACSB accredited school. And it was really an attempt by EY to assist their folks in getting to the 150 hours. So what we're starting to see is a lot of interest in internships, and that may result in a greater number of allowable hours down the road, increasing it from 9 to a larger number, maybe 15, it may be more. But certainly there is a trend, and there seems to be a lot of interest among boards of accountancy to move in that direction, where you have a structured internship program that would result in credit being posted to a transcript, and then ultimately counting toward the 150-hour requirement. Certainly EY is doing that. One of the other large accounting firms, I believe it's PwC, is working with St. Peter's College in New Jersey to create a similar program. So we're aware of these, and certainly we're keeping an eye on it. And I think what we're hoping to do is put our arms around that, so there aren't all these one-offs, but instead a more standardized internship program that can be used by any state or any size firm going forward. Moving on, really the other thing that's certainly happening, last week, the AICPA's examinations team released an exposure draft for the new examination. It's out for public comment through September 30th. And it's really the exposure draft of the blueprint. And if you're not familiar with the exam blueprint, it's really a roadmap to the exam. It talks about the different sections of the exam. In this case, it's the new exam under CPT Evolution, the new model, which will be 6 sections, 3 core sections. And then the candidate will select one of 3 disciplines to take. So, certainly it's going to be a change in structure. That exposure draft is out, as I said, for public comment through September 30th. The other impact that has certainly then is on boards of accountancy and the software they use, the back office software they use to keep track of exam credit. Right now, there's 4 sections that everybody takes. Beginning January 2024, it'll be 6 sections. BEC will go away, and you'll have these 3 additional sections that'll be added to 3 disciplines. So again, we're working with and we're reaching out to boards of accountancy to make sure, assist where we can. Just as NASBA and CPACE are working to update their systems, we want to make sure that boards of accountancy are aware of that, and certainly have a timeline to make changes with respect to the software they maintain. The other thing along the lines of CP Evolution, There's been some discussion at our meetings and in some of our committees, as well as the regional meetings, about changing the date on which conditional credit is calculated for those who pass a section of the exam. The current rule focuses on the date the candidate sat for the exam. And what we're hoping to do, and I've seen some boards already moving toward this model, and we're working with our computer-based testing administration committee to come up with language that will ultimately be adopted in the Uniform Accountancy Act model rules that would change it from the date that a candidate sits to the date of score release. And really the main reason for that is we anticipate that there will be some score holds moving forward, just as there were score holds and delays in reporting during the pandemic. We envision that there will be score holds as we move into 2024 and even possibly into 2025. So rather than boards of accountancy having to give either blanket extensions or extensions on a case-by-case basis based on when a candidate sat for the exam, moving to the data score release would alleviate all of those extension requests. So like I said, NASBA's CBT admin committee is working on language. I expect probably approval for exposure sometime in the fall. And then, we may wrap that up and see some changes in early 2023 with respect to that language. The other, I guess, the final thing that certainly we've talked to boards of accountancy about is conditional credit on the examination for those who are transitioning into the new exam model in 2024. And what we're suggesting is that individuals who have conditional credit on the exam be granted an additional 18 months when we transition to the new exam in 2024. Certainly, we envision a significant potential rush, especially late in 2023, for individuals to pass BEC, because we envision that the review course providers, educators, others will suggest that you want to pass BEC, between now and 2023, so that you don't have to take one of the new disciplines. And so there's a cause and effect of that. So if there's significant volume and passage of BEC in 2023, that means there's going to be less people taking the exam in 2024. So the psychometricians are going to need a greater volume of candidates, and that's where it may take some more time in 2024 to equate the examination through the psychometric process and ultimately come up with score reporting. So there's a kind of a cause and effect there with respect to conditional credit score release as we move into the new exam. So John, that's really, I guess, a brief overview of 4 or 5 topics that are surrounding CP evolution, some of the changes that are occurring, and some of the changes that will be coming, potentially in the next 6 months or so. Be happy to answer any questions or really address anything else you might have.
Does anybody have any questions from the board? One thing not specific to CPA evolution I thought of this morning is, has NASBA and other boards been considering any changes to the supervision requirements for ascending to CPA?
It's interesting, John. Boards have differences across the country. It's not one of those uniform things. I think the UA model rules talk about verified by a CPA. There are some boards that are moving more in the direction of direct supervision rather than verified by, because verified can be broadly interpreted. There are others that use the term attest to. So in some ways that could be interpreted to put more onus on the supervising CPA with respect to the experience. But right now, the Uniform Accountancy Act talks about verified by a CPA, and it doesn't talk about a direct supervisor. but there are a number of states that do require direct supervision and do require something other than verification. It could be attestation or some other, more stronger term with respect to the assertion with respect to experience. There is one state, Illinois, that does not require a CPA to sign off on experience. It could be a supervisor other than a CPA. And that's totally a one-off amongst the 55 boards of accountancy.
Okay. And if I can sum up just from a not a substantive point of view, but a timing point of view, it sounds like there's nothing really that's hitting that we have to address before August.
No, when we first started CP Evolution, gosh, 4.5 years ago, one of the things we did is we looked at all the board statutes and rules, and we identified 8 jurisdictions that in their statute or rules specifically identified exam sections. And certainly they needed to make changes because that BEC section's going away. And at this point, we're down to 2 jurisdictions that need to make the change. One will actually, it's just the effective date is July 31st. And the other is just a very unique situation where there's a kind of a hold on regulatory changes. And the legislature actually had to pass legislation to approve the department to make amendments that had to be signed by the governor. That has taken place, and now it's just getting into the process of making those regulation changes. But that's again a one-off specific to that jurisdiction. But as far as I know, Connecticut, you have no changes that you need to make with respect to the transition to the new exam.
Okay. Any board members have anything? Okay. Hearing none, thank you very much for your time. And hope the
John,
weather's
if
good
I
in
may,
Nashville.
I'm sorry, if I may.
Yes.
Dan, quick question. On the agenda of today's meeting is the letter that the board received from NASA asking the state boards to adopt its recommendation to extend exam credits on January 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, due to anticipated limited testing opportunities and delayed score reporting. Is that the same thing as the additional credits that you talked about, the last point that you made, or is that different? If it is, can you talk about it?
Yeah, that's different. That is the piece that really, as you explained, is the focus is on exam volumes and score reporting in 2024 and possibly 2025 when we transition to new exam. So, we're suggesting that all the boards adopt this 18-month extension of conditional credit. So if you potentially take the exam today, your credit wouldn't expire until early 2024. But again, because you might take that exam section and not get the grade for several weeks or a month or 2 out, you potentially would lose other conditional credit you might have. So we're suggesting that boards adopt that extension of credit with respect to the transition to the new exam. The other piece I mentioned really can be done at any time. A majority of the boards right now focus or calculate conditional credit on the date I took the exam. So if I took the exam today and passed, the clock in a majority of states would start today, even though I won't get my grades for 2 or 3 weeks under the current exam. Again, knowing that we're going to have delays in score reporting in 2024 and possibly early 2025, what we're suggesting is instead change that rule to say you're going to calculate it based on the date of score release. And frankly, the date of score release is much more consistent across the country than the date you sit. You think about it, you have candidates sitting almost every day except for that short blackout period where they're changing the exam, where score release is much more structured. So it certainly be much easier for board staff to track conditional credit than it is on a case-by-case basis the way it is today. Again, that's assuming that Connecticut does it on date of testing.
Thank you. So when does NASPA need the board's decision?
So there are some boards that are working on a regulatory change right now. But again, draft language isn't out. So this is one of those opportunities where I'm suggesting, boards hold off until we get language out to them. But there are, certainly it depends on the jurisdiction. There are some boards that they need to do it sooner rather than later because of the time it takes to make administrative changes. And so those boards
Average
may-
of 2.5 years in Connecticut, so.
Yeah, so yeah, I would, suggest that, we may want to work with you to get you some language sooner rather than later. Because if we go through and it gets approved, we have draft language, it goes through the Uniform Accountancy Act Committee, it goes to the board for approval to expose, we're potentially looking at exposure late in the fall with possible adoption in January. So you're really going to lose 6 months. So you're talking potentially 3 years rather than, the sooner we get you language, the better. So we can certainly, I can talk to the folks in CPACE as well as CBT admin and see what we can do about getting you some model language to think about.
Yeah, I think we should put that on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay, that was helpful, very helpful. Okay. Are we set? Anybody else? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, and
Thanks, Dan.
we'll move on then to extension waiver requests.
Yes, we have two on the agenda. One person, Ms. Jody Leonite, rescinded her request yesterday. She completed her CPE, so she does not need an extension anymore. But we do have 5 additional requests that are not on the agenda that would need a 2/3 vote to be added to the agenda. And we also have a settlement agreement, case 2022-15, that would need to be added to the agenda by 2/3 vote.
Is anybody having trouble hearing Kat?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you hear me better now?
A
Okay.
little bit.
Okay,
So we have two on the agenda, but one person rescinded their request. And then we have 5 additional requests that need to be added on the agenda by 2/3 votes, as well as a settlement agreement.
okay. I think we need technically, I think we need a movement, a motion to add those to the agenda. If I would entertain one.
I'll make the
This is
motion
Daniel.
to add them.
Thank you. You have a second?
I'll second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay,
Right, thank you. We'll start with the exam credits. The first request on the agenda is Ariane Tagnalia. She requested to extend her a credit exam, which expired on April 26, 2022 to August 31st. Reason is based on good cause, and the supporting documentation was sent to the board members on June 13th, and also some additional supporting documentation was sent to you July 1st.
I always feel a little incompetent when it comes to medical stuff that comes rolling through or related. But does anybody have any thoughts or on granting the extension?
So just looking at it quickly from what I saw, it looked like there was accommodations made for more time, and it looked like, and I tried to figure it out, that she took the test with more time, and she's really saying that she's pretty busy at RSM and doesn't have time to study. It's kind of the gist I got from all that material. So I guess I'll start with a motion to deny and then we can discuss it.
I'll
Re-
second that motion.
Okay. Yeah, there was so much there, Marcia. I was having difficulty going back and forth as to what we really had here, so
Yeah.
appreciate that summary. Yes, go ahead, please, Dan.
No, I went through it a couple of times and I have to agree with Marsha. I feel that majority of the explanation was that she was too busy. And, you know, historically, we don't grant time for individuals that they're just because they're too busy with their jobs.
Understood. Okay, any further comments? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. The second exam credit request that we received was from Cynthia Calderon. She's requesting to extend two, can you hear me okay still? She's requesting to have her audit and reg exam credit extended to September 30th. Her audit exam expired on June 30th of this year. Her reg exam originally expired December 31st of 2019, but last September, the board voted to extend it to June 30th, and now she's asking to extend it to September 30th. She provided two good cause reasons. The first one, she said that when she sat for the FAR exam recently, the Prometric test center malfunctioned and her computer shut down for almost 30 minutes, but the exam kept running. She said she tried to complete the exam, but was unable to finish during the reduced time. She said she's working with NASPA to receive a payment credit for that exam. She said that she provided a copy of an email dated June 29th from Prometric, and that Prometric stated in that email, that in pursuant to our phone conversation, we are saddened to know that you were not able to complete your examination because of the workstation malfunction in New Haven Prometric Center. Rest assured, we are in the midst of investigating your technical issue with our relevant team and will provide an update within 3 to 5 days. As the content of the exam was reviewed, we would suggest you contacting NASPA with the investigation during investigating findings for their review of your free retouch request. So I note that Prometric stated that they are investigating, not that they.
You went mute, Kat.
Kat, you're on mute.
I don't know how that happened. I didn't hit anything. It wanted to mute me. Can you hear me okay?
Now we can, or it
Okay.
can.
So the second reason is hardship. The reason that the board extended her reg credit in September last year is because her father was killed at work in July of 2021. And so in September, she requested and the board approved to extend her reg exam credit until June 30 of this year. At that time, she provided the obituary and a copy of her FMLA leave. In this request, she stated that her grandmother's health declined after her father's death, and her grandmother passed away last week. And her request was submitted on June 24th. So last week would be the week before that. And she has to travel overseas for 2 weeks to attend her family obligations. She said it's limiting her ability to both study for and sit for the BEC exam section. She provided a copy of her itinerary showing flights departing from JFK on July 1st to Spain and returning on July 17th. So I would note that the exam credits expired before the dates of her travel.
So Kat, the BEC is the one with the grandmother and FAR is the one with Prometrics?
She didn't like break it out like that.
Oh,
She
okay.
just needs her audit and her reg extended. I believe, Ms. Stewart.
Um, Can we make, I'd like to make a motion to table until we hear back from NASBA to find out about the issue at Prometrics.
Yeah, I would agree if the workstation went, oh, Bonnie, do you have a comment?
This is the one I wanted to comment on. I actually have a great deal of knowledge about this one. Is it okay if I speak now, or do you want me to wait?
It's okay.
So this young lady's father was murdered at work, as you heard. Following her father's death, her grandmother, who lives in Ecuador, became ill. She actually had to fly to Ecuador to care for her grandmother for several weeks after everything happened. Then her grandmother passed. Her grandmother's originally from Spain. The whole family is now going to Spain for the funeral and the get together. Some who couldn't make her father's funeral. It's been an extremely emotional and difficult time for the family, who is quite close. In addition to that, Cynthia did reach out to you, got the extension following her father's murder, but and worked very hard, actually got herself a mentor and started to work on the exams despite what she was going through. She has really plowed through times when I don't think most of us would have been able to function, let alone sit for exams. She's really tried. In the meantime, she then went for the test at Prometrics and called actually Cindy Paniotto, who's on with us today. I don't see Cindy, but she was here 2 seconds. Oh, there she is, from our office, because she was distraught. Her computer actually stopped working. She saw the person at Prometrics and indicated that it wasn't working. He said he was sorry. They had no way to stop it, that they automatically have no way to extend it because they automatically shut off at a certain time. She reached out to us. We told her, reach back to Prometrics, reach out to NASBA, et cetera. We think this is a horrible situation. So I can guarantee you that this all happened. I know the woman very well. She is very responsible, very diligent, and has been dealing with an awful lot. And we told her to keep on moving through the process and to request an extension because of the computer problem, the death of her grandmother. It's just been kind of a domino effect. So I just wanted to comment on this. As you know, I normally sit and don't say anything regarding these extensions, but this is a woman who's tried to work with the system despite the blows that life and computers seem to be dealing to her lately.
Thank you. Having heard that, any further comments? I mean, I'm just accepting that the workstation went down. What sort of extension would that give her, just that alone?
Well, I think we still want to wait and get the result just in case this happens again, so that if we were to do it with somebody else that doesn't, know to call the CTCPA or something, that I mean, I would certainly think that's good cause. It's like a nightmare.
Can I just ask, what you're saying is you want to continue with our thought of the motion to table for more information about the Prometric situation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Because I thought they said they were investigating and we'll get back to her and then cut out, but in a few days or.
Yes, it says that they will get back to her in 3 to 5 business days, but that was June 30th. So 3 to 5 business days would be probably this week or early next week.
Just a question here. If we don't take action and table it, when are her extensions? Has she run out of extensions?
Her credits expired already, expired June 30th.
The credit expired already, so is there any action she has to take before we hear back from NASPA? Sort of getting here, should we table it or can we pass something contingent upon?
That's an idea.
As you know, the board's next meeting is scheduled for September 6th. And she's
Right.
asking for an extension till September 30th.
That's a long time to hang and having to make arrangements for the next testing.
So I'll amend my motion since nobody seconded it, that to say that we'll pass the extension based on the Prometrics issue and documentation that from Prometrics to confirm that we'll pass the extension until September 30th as requested.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
So I'm sorry, just so that I understand, you're saying that we approve, the board would approve contingent on us receiving something from Prometric or NASPA saying there was an issue, a technical issue. If we don't receive anything, then it should be tabled to September 30th, September
Well,
6th meeting.
Well, then if we don't receive anything, I don't know that it's an automatic negative, but we could reconsider it if there's other facts but yeah, it basically says if Prometrics comes back after another, say 4 or 5 business days and says, yes, she's right, it's already taken care of.
Right.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask persons, if you're not speaking, to please go on mute. That's a part of the interference why we can't hear Kat or others speaking clearly. The recording is very choppy. And as you know, the recording is a transcript. So if you're not speaking, please mute yourself. If you want to speak, please unmute. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions, comments, or any further comments on the motion? Then I'll entertain a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes.
Before you get into the
Okay.
rest of your meeting, I just have to excuse myself from our next meeting, but it's been a pleasure joining you and I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
So that's all for the credit exam extension. We are moving to CPE extensions. Ms. Jody Hay-Leonite, as I said, rescinded her extension request. So the next we have is Kurt Campisi, and he is requesting an extension to August 31st, 2022 to complete his CPEs. Reason is medical reasons, and I sent supporting documentations to you on June 20th.
This is Marcia. I'll make a motion to approve. It was nice and concise.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Further comments, questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. The motion carries.
Thank you. The next person that we have is Megan Merrill. She's requested an extension to November 30th of this year to complete her CPE based on medical reason. She had a baby in March and she is on maternity leave until September. So she provided the baby's birth certificate.
Make a motion to approve.
Second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 All opposed, nay. The motion carries.
Thank you. The next one we have is James Russell. He's requested an extension until August 31st to complete CPE based on good cause. In November, his wife fell and broke both of her legs, and she had extensive surgeries and is ongoing physical therapy. He is her sole caregiver. So he provided hospital bills and records showing surgeries in November and other procedures and physical therapy.
That's tough work, being sole caregiver in those circumstances. Do I have a motion? Everybody's looking at Marcia, and she doesn't have to make 100% of the motions.
And I'm trying to resist the pressure of not doing it here.
I'll make the motion then to approve.
Have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nay? Motion carries.
Thank you. The last motion we have is from Robert London. He actually has not submitted an official extension request form. He sent an email on June 30th requesting for an additional 30 days to complete the CPEs. His email stated, I need to complete approximately 20 hours. I have a history of completing my CPE by the required due date. Due to family and business good cause reasons, I was not able to complete the required CPE by the due date. I'm sending this email because I'm not able to complete the form and send it until after July 6th. So when we received this email, we responded to him saying, okay, don't worry about the form, but please provide details concerning the family and business good cause reasons and submit supporting documentation. And we have not heard back from him. So given the lack of information and supporting documentation, I didn't know whether the board would consider his request, but I thought I would present it just in case. It sounds like he does not have access to his computer.
I'll make a motion to table it until we get the complete package.
This is Pete. I'll second it. Okay.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. That takes us to the end of our,
Wait, we have a settlement agreement for your.
oh, I'm
approval.
sorry.
It's okay. It's a short one. So in case 2022-15 with Andrew Rosenberg, I would like to present for the board's approval a settlement agreement we've entered into with Mr. Rosenberg. He's been a long time CPA. His license was first issued in 1990, and our electronic record going back to 2013 shows that he timely renewed his license every year until 2020. I think something happened at the end of 2020 because his license expired on December 31st, and he didn't renew for 2021 or 2022. We had evidence showing that he continued practicing through all that time. So we contacted him in April of this year. He immediately took steps to reinstate, but as of today, I believe the reinstatement has not been issued because we required him to take 80 hours of CPEs for the past 2 years, and he needed time to do that. I checked this morning, and I believe the reinstatement is still pending, so it should be any day now. He's been very responsive, and because he's paying back all renewal fees and late fees, and he's completing all CPEs, the license reinstatement is not part of the settlement agreement. This settlement agreement has to do with him operating as a CPA firm without a firm permit. So again, back to that date at the end of 2020, he had been with a CPA firm in New Britain, Mudford and Davila. However, sometime in January of 2021, he left this firm and opened his own office, also in New Britain, which uses the CPA designation, but he never obtained a firm permit. in violation of statute 20-281. He also never notified the department of changes in his employment and address, which is a violation of regulation 20-280-15D, subsection B. So he's in the process of getting a firm permit along with reinstating his license. So we've entered into a settlement agreement for a total of $2,500. For operating a firm without a firm permit, the settlement fees were $2,000, which is $1,000 per year, last year and this year. And for the violation of not updating his employment address record, the fee was $500. So the total settlement fees were $2,500. He's been very cooperative. He has signed the agreement and paid the money, and we would like to present the settlement agreement for your approval.
Was the reason that he didn't get a firm permit ignorance?
Yeah, I believe so. He didn't say. He just never did it. And we had to track him down because we didn't have any record of him. So when we got complaints, we actually got complaints. That's how we found out about him. 3 separate complaints from 3 different gas stations saying that he was doing bad work, doing taxes. We investigated and it turned out to be not true. But in the meantime, we looked at his licensing, his firm permit, and I had to call his old firm. And they said, no, he left. We don't know where he is. And so it took some tracking, digging up to find out that he opened a firm in also.
You faded out again, at least on mine.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know what else to do. But yeah, basically he never got a firm permit and we don't know why.
So can I ask a question? So he left the old firm and he never got a firm permit. He just dropped off the face of the earth or whatever.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So our records, our electronic record shows that he's still with the old firm. Not until we called that they told us that he hasn't been with them since 2021.
Are these fees, the penalties, the same as that case we dealt with last month, or the same rates?
I think so. It's about $1,000 a year, except for the not updating a record. That's just $500.
Yeah, and it seems the only difference here is perhaps, at least regarding the firm permit, he didn't get one because he didn't, maybe was ignorant and didn't realize he had to. Whereas the other individual had already been caught practicing without a permit and then went on and repeated.
Right. The difference with this person is he's very cooperative. He's very responsive. He immediately took steps. He's taking all the CPEs. He, his wife had surgery last week and he drove to the department to drop off the check. He's doing all that.
I'll make a motion to approve the settlement.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Very good, the motion carries.
So, Mr. Chairman, I will forward you the sign agreement for you to sign.
Very good. And sign and scan back is sufficient?
Yes, thank you. Just a page of this, just a signature page.
Just a signature page.
Thank you.
Okay. Any time for comments and concerns of anybody attending today?
I have one.
Yes.
So I have an update. The governor's office and the boards and commission group has been working hard and have selected 2 individuals to join you on the Board of Accountancy. I'm under a gag order in terms of who, but they've been gathering the paperwork. I was actually hopeful that somebody would reach out to the Department of Consumer Protection prior to this meeting, but I understand that they're still waiting for a little bit of paperwork. So you should have 2 additional CPAs because of the 2 spots that are open for your September meeting.
So they will still be open for the September meeting?
No, I'm sorry. Those
We
2
hope they won't
spots
be.
should be,
Usual.
they should be filled by the 2 individuals that the governor and the board have chosen.
Excellent. Thank you. About time.
Yeah.
Okay, any further comments? Any further matters? Okay, hearing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
This is Pete. I'll second it.
does not allow for discussion, so all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Thank you, everybody, for your time, and we'll see you on September 6th.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.